Welcome to the Land Cave, where we're living as nerds. I'm Patrick,
Listen.
joined by Owen.
I'm always listening.
I'm listening for the minute. I don't know.
I'm listening.
I'm listening for the weekend. I'm ready for the weekend. I'm exhausted, as you can tell. Welcome to the Land Cave. We're the Land Cave. We give you gaming news every single week, nerd news, general rants, random things that come up to mind. We can talk about basically anything for an hour, especially Star Wars. And yeah, we got a little bit of Star Wars news, a little bit.
Little bit of Star Wars news. It's fun, And we should mention that for the first time, we're streaming our podcast everywhere. Not everywhere, but across 3 different services. So say if you don't like watching on Facebook, you don't want to give Zucks your old information, that's absolutely fine. You can pop on over to twitch.tv/TheLanCave. When you're like, you know what, I'm a Google type of person, I could just go over to youtube.com/TheLanCave. Or, you don't care and Zuck can take all your information, forever, and you can go to facebook.com/TheLanCave. All 3 viable options on Wednesday nights. So feel free to check us out.
I'm so happy about this. Working a way to get this done efficiently. Hopefully it works for everyone. Like we say, we like to be where you are, because I want to be where the people are. I want to be there where you enjoy your media, and I can sing about whatever. But yeah, so Facebook's where we've been for quite a while. We have our podcast. If you like podcasts, you prefer it there, it's also there. But no, I don't know. I guess I've been playing some games. You've been playing some games, because that's kind of what we do. I've been playing The Medium, which came out last week on Game Pass. If you have Game Pass, then you got this. Go download it. If you're into this thing, I've not been spooked out by it. I would say, I guess it's spoopy. It's not. I haven't been scared like a Resident Evil.
Sure.
Some of it is macabre. You are not to. This does not spoil anything. You're a medium. You can interact with the dead. You can talk to them. And one of the dead that you initially talk to in the kind of intro of the game, if you will, the tutorial, you talk to your dying father or father figure. It wasn't really clear. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, it was emotional, but it wasn't scary. And so I don't know if I feel weird saying this. Like, the game was made in Poland, so there could be cultural aspects where Americans are more jaded to certain aspects than they are. I don't know a lot about their horror, so it's not bad. But I expected to be more unnerved, and I was not. So
I've heard from what I watched a few reviews because and hit the record button, by the way. I watched a few reviews, and I think what the consensus seems to be is that the subject matter is a little difficult. Depending on the headspace that you're in, you might have some trouble there, but that in terms of the actual gameplay itself, that it's really not that bad. From what I saw, I had to at least watch some reviews on it, being that it's an Xbox exclusive. We don't really have any of those, so now we have one. So I had to at least check it out. I'm still not going to play.
I know it's not your. I know. Even saying that, I was like, this isn't for Owen.
Yeah.
However, I was like, no, it's not. It's not really scary. Like this right here. This is her deceased father that she's kind of talking to and giving him some closure. Which, in that pace, like you mentioned, depending on your headspace, that's hard. And she is talking to her recently deceased father, who on the other side, who does not understand he's deceased. Obviously, that was emotional, but it wasn't scary. And I've interacted with a few different specters, if you will, ghosts, whatever, what have you. And like I said, not been spooked out. But
yeah. I've been mixing it up, man. The Call of Duty's still happening. There's not much more that I can say right now about it. I'm just leveling weapons, and it's just what I jump into to pass the time.
Yeah.
Not really pass the time, but like, you know, as I continue to say, it's very mindless for me. You know, you just kind of get into it and pass a couple hours and shoot stuff. But I've been mixing up my displays here, so you know, until I get this back shelf figured out behind me, I'm gonna be mixing it in. But today, Habroxia 2 came out everywhere, but I chose to play it on the Vita because the creator of the game is a known figure in video game. People love him or hate him. It's Colin Moriarty's company that he owns with one other person that designed the game. It is a classic shmup, shoot 'em up. For those who don't know, it's dope, dude. It's only $9.99 on whatever system that you're buying it on, so it's on Switch as well. But I am really liking it. The thing that I like the most about it versus like a normal shoot 'em up is that it's a twin stick shooter. So as you can see, if you're watching the video, there's the little line out, so you can direct your bullets in a complete 360. That's cool. And then you can also play it old school if you want to. They program the shooting button in, so if you want to just do straight on like forward shots only, you can hold down square and shoot. It's fun. It's really tight. I played the first Habroxia. I didn't really enjoy it as much. I think that was probably when the guy who made the first one, I think it was one of his first games that he put out there. And while it was good, this one you can tell that he's getting better at his craft. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and it made me a little sad because I want another PlayStation handheld, man. Like, this baby is so good. Like, don't get me wrong, the Switch is also a beautiful handheld. But one thing that I've just been noticing, maybe it's just my old man hands, you know, after 8 hours of typing on the computer, this thing is just so much lighter and just so much. It just fits my hands really well. While the Switch still does too, there's just a little weight to it where I get a little bit more tired playing it, if that makes sense. And plus these little stick placement on the right Joy-Con it's
weird. I hate that placement. Honestly, that's one of my least favorite things about the Switch. I love the Switch Pro controller, and that's why I played with the Switch Pro controller exclusively for like almost a year, or not. Yeah. It's a 90% of the time I was playing in docked, or I'd pop it up on the kickstand and play it. As lame as that sounds, it just bothered my it still bothers my thumb after long periods of time. I wish the rumors were true and we got a Switch Pro or a Switch XL. Give me something a little bit bigger, a little bit meatier, like, you know, for those of
the Switch Magnum, you know.
So, that'd work. I think that works. Nintendo, that's a very safe bet for you to sell some consoles. I think it'd be great. I think it helped it helped to get that position of the stick and everything. Do you think, by the way, the PlayStation's going to dip into that handheld market again? Because I mean, obviously neither one of us know if that's going to happen, but Switch is doing well, but do they want to try to compete with Nintendo in this?
The only reason why I don't, you know, I was having this discussion at work today with some gaming people, and you know, one person was convinced that we're in like an iPad situation. So for those who don't understand what I'm saying, whenever you think about tablets, you don't really think about your Galaxy tabs. You don't think about the Kindle Fire very often, which, by the way, the Kindle Fire Kids Edition is actually really good in terms of the kids stuff that has kids profiles. But whenever you're thinking about tablets, you know, you just call it an iPad. It's not like Android phones where there truly is a preference. For the most part, you're not going to see as much like the iPad destroys most other tablets. You know, you can get the Microsoft Surface, and that's a full-on computer. But in terms of tablets, it's just not even really competition. And that was his point, that the Switch could be that situation. Nobody's tried to compete yet. Can they do it? I think Sony could do it. I think that They were really successful with the PSP, even though part of the PSP success was that it was hackable. But they sold 80 million PSPs back in the day. It's been a long time. The Vita didn't sell nearly that well, but it also didn't have any support, and it had proprietary storage, and Sony just messed it up. I think that if they were to do a Vita 2, or they may not name it the same thing, I think that they should. I don't think that they're going to anytime soon. It just doesn't. I think they have a real problem on their hands right now with the PS5. And somebody in our Twitch chat, Green Crayon, mentioned that they're having some problems with the release of the PS5 as well. I mean, we have a stock problem with that. They can't even get it into everybody's hands. They just released the sales numbers on that. They moved 4.5 million PS5s, and that's on pace with the PS4. And I know that the demand is higher than PS4. If they had the stock, they would be able to sell more PS5s. I think that there's a real issue there. And they're going to be competing with Microsoft a lot right now, because Microsoft's got Game Pass chugging along. And while the series may not be as popular in terms of mainstream talking, like more people just talk about PlayStation, I think, than they talk about the Xbox Series X right now. Yeah. But I think that momentum could easily shift if we don't start seeing some PS5s on the shelf.
Oh I agree, because it's like how the PS5 is great. So we both have it. I absolutely love my PS5, and just like anyone who has their hands on an RTX or something, it's amazing. I honestly think the Xbox is great as well. It was an incremental upgrade for me because I had the One X. But if you can't get them into people's hands, you're exactly right. What's the point? And we're going to probably have a similar shortage when it comes to getting these in the hands of people. For if they did come up with a handheld, I think everybody is kind of in that situation. Somehow Nintendo's been able to keep up enough that to keep up enough, at least for now, where they've been okay. But man, it could be good. But I think you're right. An iPad situation is a good way to put it. It's like you could come up with something, but will it actually beat the Switch, or will everybody be like, "Oh, that's PlayStation's Switch. That's Microsoft Switch." It's like their version. That could totally happen.
The other question is instead of making a handheld, we know that the Switch isn't going to really get into this market, because the Switch is I preface this by saying the Switch could develop an app that does this on the Switch, as we speculated about, but Microsoft is getting into xCloud. What if Sony was to put a focus there, turn PlayStation Now into not only a streaming thing where you stream on the PlayStation, but if they were to focus a streaming situation on mobile, would that be the play? So instead of doing a new handheld, do they go PlayStation Now on phones and use the same exact library that they essentially have on PlayStation Now? Like, I only considered this as you were talking about it right now. Sure. But is that the play?
That'd be cool.
That's very interesting. The question is I want to know numbers. I can't wait till we see some kind of xCloud user-based numbers, because right now it's on Android only, because they couldn't get it on Apple, which they are working on doing a browser version so that it can play through Safari. But right now it's Android only. I want to know how many people are using it, man. You have an Android, don't you? Have you used it? Have you checked it out?
I haven't. I need to, but I haven't. It's something I need to dip into. I think, and it's probably really good, but honestly, I don't find myself in a situation, maybe it's because we're stuck at home. I don't find myself in a situation where I'm like, I want to prop up my phone and play. I'd rather just play on a full-on screen. But at the same time, if we had if we were able to play PlayStation Library through this, and with touch, depending on the game, that could be interesting. But obviously, that's a whole other story. Being able to Bluetooth to a controller to your phone and be able to play it, I think the phones are powerful enough to play a lot of this, especially if we're doing a streaming like a PlayStation Now, like you mentioned.
100%.
So we're in that realm where it's like, what's gonna happen? And if you ask me now what's gonna happen, I'm still waiting for Microsoft to just smash everybody and be like, here's xCloud, all your Game Pass stuff, all your library, all streams to whatever you want, take it. And that would, if they do that, they have a lock on so much. Unless you're wanting something proprietary, that means no matter what system I have, I could literally bring up a browser. If Xbox chooses to do this, I could bring up a browser and play any game I want. I could play my Cyberpunk in a way that probably looks better than most people, unless they have, like I said, 3080 or 3090. But yeah.
Well, actually, one of the most popular. I mean, you mentioned Cyberpunk, and I forgot to put it in the news because honestly, it's kind of a rest in peace situation. But Cyberpunk ran the best for a lot of people on Stadia.
Yes, it did.
And Stadia just shut down their game studios, so we're on the slow descent to death for the Google Stadia. You know, pour one out. It's not there yet, but it's definitely on its way. And you were saying like you were waiting for xCloud to smash, and it made me. You've seen Troy, right? I assume most people have seen Troy.
The movie?
Yeah. But it's not a great movie, but there's that point where Achilles is like, immortality, it's there, take it. Yep. That's what came to mind whenever you were saying like, just it's there, take it.
So it is like this close.
Deep 2003 movie reference.
I love it, but it's like you're this close. If you do this, okay, yes, it's like this is what made Amazon the insane company that it is. Are you double checking the
2004
quote? 2004.
I was a year off, baby.
I feel like Xbox could do what Amazon did to everything else. Amazon's like, okay, I'm gonna lose a little bit of money, or maybe I'll break even on some things. I'll make a tiny margin on most of the things, and that's what Xbox do with their subscriptions. And they could get everyone to subscribe. Xbox's subscriptions have gone up in regards to Game Pass. It could skyrocket if we're like, oh, by the way, you want to pay another $2 on top of that? We'll let you stream anywhere. I'll do it. What do you think? I think that like $2, $3, even maybe $5 more on top of the Ultimate. I think that I know that sounds like it's stretching it, but that means you could literally pay. What is that? Is that 20 at that point?
It's 15 right now.
15 right now, so $20 a month. All right, let's do 17. So $2 more a month. You get the X Cloud, and you get your Game Pass games, and you get your Xbox library streaming off of their servers. And of course this is when we go to, okay, what can we stream on? And my guess is that we would have some type of app situation coming to Samsung more than likely. They love to go Samsung first. Microsoft does. Samsung app, or how about as simple as bringing up a browser in your PC on your computer and streaming, just like Stadia. You're in a situation for $2 more. Microsoft for $2 more. Yeah, you got a slight margin on that, but so many people will subscribe that you will make insane amounts of money.
Are you saying the price difference is so that you can use your library?
The price difference is so that you can xCloud, so Game Pass Ultimate, plus xCloud using your library. Yeah.
Well, so xCloud's already included in Game Pass Ultimate. That's the thing.
I thought it was only Game Pass, right? Yeah. So including your library, yeah.
Yeah. So the extra money is saying you can use the stuff that's outside of Game Pass that you own.
So anything that you own is then on there. And then the next step, you launch this. When you launch, say, we also have an app. So you download the app, or I know you straight up said this, and I'm not copying you. USB dongle, little X dongle, whatever you want to call it, like the
the X dongle.
The X dongle. The
X
cloud.
Really gonna give it to you then.
Yeah. Ooh. I didn't say dangle, but like, so basically a Chromecast for Microsoft. I mean, and then you've got people who are like, oh, I can't get the Xbox Series X. I can't get the Xbox Series S. Well, what if I paid $75, $100, whatever it is, for their streaming unit, and then you put it everywhere? I love it. X can give you.
You gotta put that unit everywhere.
Put the unit everywhere. I get 2 of them. I would buy 2. I'm not joking. I would buy 2 right now. $100, buy 2.
What's crazy about all of this is like I want to, we're talking mobile, we're talking handheld consoles and everything, and we're not going anywhere for at least another 6 months. But we're thinking long term,
I can travel, man.
Because I've had no reason to even attempt to try to use xCloud because my Series X is just right over there. It's 5 feet from where 25 feet probably. Yeah, like 25 feet from where I always am all the time.
That's why I forgot it was included. I totally forgot. I'm like, oh yeah, it is included. I will test it out though, so I want to try it. But yeah,
what's not going to be included though is this canceled Goldeneye remaster.
Oh, we're actually going to talk about news finally after rambling all that.
Here's the news. There was some news in there.
There was some good stuff. There's some good news. We got some footage, by the way. This is from Glassloo00. I don't know, Glassloo. I don't know how to pronounce it. So I am giving credit to the owner in that case. But this is the canceled Goldeneye remaster that essentially the files leaked. So if you want to play this, you need to use an Xbox emulator.
Xenia, I think.
Yeah, so you can't do it natively. It'd be cool if you could package it up and do it, but so +1 for the emulators and hackers out there. Honestly, looks pretty good. I mean, I love GoldenEye, and I know it's an N64 game. It's a remaster of an N64 game, but honestly, I'd have fun playing this. Like if I was playing Xbox 360 back in, because this is supposed to come out in 360, right?
Yes.
Okay, so back in the 360 days, if this came out for $10, easy money.
As I understand it, Nintendo put the kibosh on it. It was a rights issue. Okay, because GoldenEye is a unique one. GoldenEye's owned the rights for this are owned by Nintendo and Rare. Yeah.
So essentially, both parties have to agree to everything for it to happen, which is why it's not been re-released in like the Rare collection that came out.
The thing that would make it, because it looks terrible. The game does not hold up in any capacity. But the thing that makes it worth trying again is the fact that we use 2 sticks now, and being able to aim. I think if it's programmed the way that it should be anyway, because back in the day, if you guys don't remember, I believe you had to hold. Let me think. I think you held R on the N64 controller whenever you wanted to stop walking and more precisely aim at it. Yes. And so if you could hold down that, keep walking, like do this whole strafing thing like this guy's kind of doing, and aim a whole lot easier. It's all pure nostalgia. The game it looks completely terrible.
It does. But if they polish, of course, this looks almost like it's the same. There's a slight difference in the face there.
Yeah.
But obviously this is not fun. This is not done. This is something they were still working on. The files just leaked. But if there were those quality of life improvements, and if there were the graphical improvements that made it a little bit smoother, but it was the same game, I think it'd be good. Like I'm looking at this saying, if this was available, I would play it. Yes, I agree. It doesn't look great, but in comparison to the actual N64 version, this looks better. Mm-hmm. This is like okay, this is a step up. Now, if they came out with this verbatim, like let me backtrack on what I said before. If they came out with this exactly how it looks and it was on Xbox Live, then we'd probably be like, what do you? Especially
I'd still play it.
I'd still play it. But I'd probably be like, it sucks. I wish these parts were improved, but it's still classic. It's still nostalgia. And if someone who plays it who doesn't have that nostalgia, they're not gonna have those rose-colored glasses. They're not gonna like it as much as us. I get it.
But the only thing that made this actually just added to my hype for the new Bond game, so that we know that IO, makers of Hitman 3, which is apparently awesome.
That's what I hear.
I've heard nothing but just great things. Some people have already said, there's a chance, even though that it came out in January, that it could stand the test of the year and be their game of the year. Apparently, the second level is really good, so I'm going to be looking for it on sale. I've literally never played a Hitman game, so I don't. I have the backlog that is just killing me right now, so
Sure.
I can't throw $70 at it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I am going to be looking for it. But it
Yeah.
made me think. They've said that they're not going to tie it to a movie bond, so that number one is automatically interesting. Hitman, does it have a story though, dude?
Yes,
it does.
It has a story. It has a very confusing, intriguing, twisty story. Your missions, your levels are usually like your hits. Like you're like, hey, take out this person. This is a contract, because the idea is you are a hitman. Obviously, the story is like extrapolated from there. The first couple games, it was relatively straightforward. It was like, hey, here's who we want you to take out, and there are a couple ways to do it. The newer games have gotten increasingly more intricate in the ways that they want you to kill your target. It doesn't mean you have to do it only their ways, but like you can if you do something that's kind of out of the norm, it can spook people, and then they'll catch on to you not being, to your disguise or what have you.
Okay.
So shout out to Girlfriend Reviews. If you haven't seen them before, go check them out too. Girlfriend Reviews on YouTube. She reviews games that her boyfriend plays.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, she described it as it was more like the Untitled Goose Game than it was a Hitman game, because you'd go somewhere, you'd pick up an item, and they like scream at you because it kind of outed you as to like, okay, that's not normal for you to do something. Where in the other games, it was like you couldn't really spook them unless it was like, oh, you're pouring something into someone's drink. Well, obviously there's a problem. But if you just start picking up cutlery, it didn't cause a problem before. So those kind of things where...
Oh, so they've added like some new AI recognition?
The AI's gotten better,
cool.
Yes. The AI's like, checking in. Now, still, they don't recognize you if you're in one disguise versus another disguise unless you've hit a certain suspicion level. They've gotten a lot better and a lot more intricate in that case. Yes, it's still a macabre game. You're still killing people. But it is interesting how they play this out in regards to... And there's a contrived story to it.
Well, if they have some experience writing a story, then I guess that makes it me less worried. I'm not worried about like their ability to make a stealth game at all, even if it is going to be different than Hitman, because it has to be. Like that's not Bond's game. He doesn't do hits. There's a story. There's always a mission, a save the world type mission. So what's that going to be? But honestly, seeing this just and
that's actually what makes me happy about it, though, because Hitman, even the earlier games, I go back to original Hitman, OG Hitman, before they did the Hitman reboot, right? So OG Hitman, where it was like you had like 2 or 3 different ways you could take it out on target, or in some missions it was like you really only had one efficient way. There was a way the level was designed for you to do it, and then you could do something else if you could get away with it. But the most bonus points was for you to do what they wanted you to do, so a certain type of assassination. But the way I think about that is, take out the word assassination, you just think complete mission. So if you as Bond have to do XYZ, you could do it in a very stealthy way. You could do it in a guns blazing way. It's obviously going to be harder. Maybe you'll hit different. You'll get different trophies based on how you do a mission. That's kind of how I view it. Where you like Bond dropping into a specific mission. These are your mission objectives, just like Goldeneye, but the objectives you can do in different ways. So I think it could be cool. I'm excited about it. I'm also excited about more Star Wars, even if it is EA.
This is where you just need your Star Wars like cut. I do. Like just some like not the long one that we do for when we did Star Wars in review, which you can check out on YouTube, by the way, where we went through all 8 movies when we were getting ready for the 9th movie. Mm-hmm. But something short that's just like, oh, we're talking about Star Wars.
I'm gonna get them to get those what do they call them? Well, it's transitions on here, but on TV they used to call them bumpers or whatever. But I'm gonna get the transitions going there.
So the video playing isn't an EA Star Wars game, but EA, as we discussed the other week, it no longer has the exclusive license. It appears that Disney finally wisened up, and we've already gotten some announcements on different studios making some Star Wars games, but EA says, hey, we made $3 billion from Star Wars games. We're not going to go anywhere. We're going to keep pitching. So we already can assume that we're getting a Jedi Fallen Order 2, which we need to. That game was fantastic. Loved it.
Yes.
That's the kind of Souls game I'm here for, where it has a difficulty meter. Thanks, Miyazaki. I think that was probably their biggest one. Battlefront 2, I think, has sold well over time, but it's also been free a million times. It was recently free on Epic Game Store, which I think they said got something like absurd amount of free ads. So I'm sure Epic gave them a nice little payday for putting that for free on there. But does this surprise you that EA says like, hey, we're not done?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't surprise me. What more surprises me is I know that's what EA says. Obviously, it's a question of what is Disney going to allow? What is Disney going to say? Hey, I'm going to guard this. You get these properties. I'm sure there's a contract as well that Disney's great about their contracts, but they also have made some missteps. So what I'm curious about is in the EA contract, there be maybe a section there where it's like, as long as EA is profitable or as long as EA does XYZ, EA continues to hold rights to blank. The reason that I say that is that's how their Disney contracts are. For example, in Disney World, you can't have Captain America and Iron Man and Spider-Man in the park in Disney World. You can have it in Disneyland, but not Disney World, because they sold the rights to Universal back in the day, and Universal's clung to those rights. So they make some missteps, but at the same time, there may be some payouts that happen in one way or another. But what I mean by that's a long way of saying, if EA continues to make money and they have a way to contractually leverage it, EA will continue to make some Star Wars games. But obviously it's not all Star Wars, as we now know. There is Lucasfilm Games that I'm excited about, but
Lucasfilm Games isn't making games. They're the ones. I think they're the ones taking the pitches. I think Disney put a team together that said, again, like we talked about, actually respecting the brand of Star Wars. I think that they have a team going together now, saying like, all right, everybody. Open season. Come pitch us some Star Wars games.
So co-development / publishing, kind of like what Gearbox has been doing, where they're kind of a publisher, they're kind of a dev. Maybe they'll grab a game like People Can Fly did with Bulletstorm, and they were like, let's help you out. So that kind of stuff. I get that.
I honestly think they're. I don't even know if they're co-developing. I don't even know if they're publishing. To be honest, that we'll have to see what whoever comes out with the first Star Wars game. We're gonna have to see who, what kind of work Lucas Games did.
Sure.
I'm really interested to find that out. Right now, my guess is like literally they're just saying like, okay, you pitched us a game, you can have the Star Wars license for this game. We're gonna take 30%.
Yeah.
GG. I think that this is good for EA, though, in terms of, I know that EA leaves a bitter taste on a lot of people's mouths. I think they're fine. I think that they do a lot of stupid stuff, but a lot of giant companies do stupid things when it comes to gaming, because they own a bunch of studios and they don't do necessarily a great job with every single one of them, but they make consistently playable games. Respawn was a great pickup for them. I think that there's some pressure that's going to be taken off. I think that now they don't have to just be EA and make a Battlefront game. They saw how well people responded to Fallen Order. Somebody pitch a freaking KOTOR 3.
Yeah, it needs to happen.
Care. It could be BioWare. It could be makers of Fallout New Vegas.
So Obsidian.
It could be Obsidian. I don't care. Somebody pitch a KOTOR.
That'd be so good. I would love that. I would absolutely love that. I would absolutely love for that to happen. I was just kind of thinking about that, and I agree with you. EA doesn't make bad Star Wars games. My problem with EA has mostly been the paywalls or the microtransactions. It's been an economy question. It's not been a question of quality of game. It's been a question of economy. You give me skins, sure, people can pay for skins. That's how Fortnite's made billions of dollars. But if you give me a Battlefront game, let me play Battlefront. Let me unlock things based on my play. Don't make it pay to win. Don't make it a lottery system or
And honestly, I think they learned that lesson because that's the way Battlefront 2 started, and then they
100%.
turned it off.
Yep.
And then when Squadrons came out, Squadrons is not like that at all, as I understand it, right?
Yeah. And did you play Squadrons?
Still not yet. I'll get there. But can you even buy skins, or are those unlockables?
I honestly didn't see.
Okay.
It's
From
been
what I saw, it didn't have that thing. So I think that's a lesson that they learned. I think that EA says, like, I mean, no offense to sports game, you can do that with a sports game. That makes sense. There's new players, there's legendary players, all that stuff. Whenever you're making those online ultimate teams, like, you can do that, EA, with your sports games. We get that that's what's going to happen, but you also have to have a solid experience for the player that says you can still have a lot of fun with this game without paying money. And I think that they learned that lesson with Battlefront 2, but who knows? You never know. They're EA. They can be a goldfish and forget 10 seconds later.
Totally. No, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. But yeah, like I said, we can hate on EA for a lot of things. We can hate on Ubisoft for a lot of things, but the end product, it's playable. It's some good stuff. What I'm gonna hate on
Nintendo for some things.
I'm gonna hate on some Nintendo some things. I'm gonna play a fake trailer here, and I did give credit here as well again. So sue me, because this fake trailer is just hilarious. It was from IGN back in the day, like 12 years ago, almost 12 years ago. April Fool's joke. So what we're talking about here is The Legend of Zelda was allegedly and now semi-confirmed to be something that Netflix was working on as a series. Details leaked out about this, not the trailer that you're watching now because that trailer's fake, but details leaked out about it and everyone denied it. But now it seems like Nintendo may have canceled it because of the leak that happened, which I think is the dumbest thing, because the leak happened and people went, yes, give me that. They didn't say, oh, that's terrible. And if I don't get that. I don't understand. That's
the part where I don't believe it. But I had to drop it in here because it's something Zelda, and I'm chomping at the bit for Breath of the Wild 2 news. And since I don't have it, I was like, let's talk about this. I really can't. The only way that I can see that being possible is if it was like pre-production. There's no way that you throw a bunch of money at a TV series and then cancel it just because it leaked.
Yes.
Because the only thing that a series like Zelda brings is hype. That it has its haters and everything. And if you think Breath of the Wild is a bad game, you don't know anything about video games. But
you haven't played Breath of the Wild, or you don't know. It's one of those two things. You don't know video games, or you haven't played the game. It's not a question. Yeah, it's true.
Sorry, but I don't think it's true. But if it is, it's sad. That I think, especially hearing like the details about it, where it was theoretically kind of like a more family friendly Game of Thrones set in Hyrule.
Yeah,
where that tells me there would be like a lot of characters, a lot of different backstories, and then we always come back to Link, who the question is just how silent do you make him? That's the question I've always wondered, is like, do you let Link talk very much? Do you do the inner monologue? That's the way I've always kind of thought it. If I was writing a book, which I think is completely doable. There is a manga, but I've always wanted like a novelization of Zelda. I think that having Link's inner monologue would be cool, and then just him, maybe he's a mute, maybe he just literally just doesn't say anything to people. That's always been the question, like, how do they do that? Because the only thing that we have is "Excuse me, princess," and while that cartoon is epic, classic.
I was gonna say epic, and how terrible it is in classic, and how the missteps on that. It makes the Mario Brothers TV show look amazing.
The Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Yeah, that was
your arms from side to side. Sorry.
So under the Mario. Yeah, that was one of the greatest. There's a lot of Nintendo adaptations. Obviously, Nintendo has gotten better about protecting those licenses, because both of those came out when Nintendo was just like, hey, Mario and Zelda are making us money, let's license it, which is why they had the CDI stuff and the Philips crap, the really bad video games. Nintendo's learned
The
its
one time
lesson.
we got a Zelda video game.
And Zelda game, 2 games made by non Nintendo.
I think they were both CDI games, right?
Yeah, they were, yeah.
Yeah.
So Nintendo's been very protective. I don't think. I'm in agreement with you. I don't think they necessarily. If this is true that it was in development and then it was canceled, I think it was more of a protection of IP. It was I don't like what you're wanting to do with this, and they didn't come to an agreement that they, of the story. Like you mentioned, it could be as simple as how are we portraying Link. There's so much that you could do in regards to this story, but I think it could be as simple as that, where it's like, yes, it could be kid friendly. Zelda is kid friendly, where you can have something that is deep in regards to lore and everything. I know you're probably laughing about the fairy or something.
No, I'm laughing because Robert said everything about the Mario show was phenomenal.
Okay. I'm Robert. How long has it been since you've seen it though? Because I'm gonna tell you, I'm rewatching the Spider-Man the animated series and X-Men animated series on Disney Plus. They're really good until you get to like the later seasons of X-Men, and then the budget dropped. And I don't think I ever saw season 4 or 5 of X-Men the animated series because the budget drops, and it's like it's Super Mario Brother levels of like quality of like. He switches to Xavier, and his shirt's the wrong color. It's weird.
I don't think that ever really happened with like Spider-Man had a great series finale.
I think Spider-Man had a really good season finale. There the first couple episodes. Yeah, there's some
like
3D
Madam Web and stuff.
Yeah, the first couple episodes of Spider-Man, and they do it a little bit, but they did like the 3D animation in addition to, because it was kind of a new thing where you'd see him swinging and the city would look like like an old school video game at this point. But they're still good. It's the X-Men ones that I was like, Whitney's really into Scarlet Witch. We're absolutely loving WandaVision. Which we're not going to spoil on here, but you and I totally going to have a talk on that if post WandaVision wrap.
Completely
thing.
Predictable, but super dope.
I've predicted pretty much everything, and other people have been completely off, and I've been like confused on how they didn't understand what was happening. But so we watched an episode of X-Men the animated series with Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, and it was like it was bad, and I literally had to go find another episode of X-Men to cleanse my palate and be like, no, this, because Whitney didn't grow up watching that show, because she didn't watch nerdy stuff until she got with me. It was like a little bit, but like I rubbed off on her, and she loves it. But I literally had to like put on another episode where I'm like, no, this is the stuff we want to watch. This is the good stuff. And she was like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like, but I felt bad because she wasn't dissing it, but she was like kind of had this feeling like this isn't good. But
I'm just not really big in that show either. It's
the
more
the animated series.
Yeah, that I recall. I don't recall Wanda being a big
she's
a big
in
part of the show.
One episode.
The show's more Jean Grey focused. Phoenix Saga. Just watch the Phoenix Saga.
Phoenix Saga is amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah, amazing. No, this is Phoenix Saga season 3. Season 3 was great. Season 4 they cut the budget. Season 5 they cut the budget even more. And I'm like, I don't understand why, because the show is doing well.
Where was Apocalypse?
Apocalypse and he starts in season 1 and he's in a little bit of season 2.
Okay. Yeah, so just stop at the Phoenix Saga, really.
Stop at the Phoenix Saga. The episode's in season 4, and it's almost like an offshoot of a Magneto episode. It's like his story and then all this. But anyways, let's get back to some gaming news. We'll totally talk WandaVision and everything else later. Pivot to some MLB, which, by the way, this is Super Bowl coming up, Super Bowl Sunday, which has nothing to do with MLB. But you got any Super Bowl plans? You're just gonna chill out? I
mean, still got that Rona out there, so I normally hang out with some buds where a buddy of mine smokes a rib, some ribs and a chicken. Obviously, that's not happening. I throw in the wings though. I have my own homemade wing recipe that I do, even though my wife works for a wing company. But I make some pretty mean wings, so I'm just gonna be making some wings for the wife and for the child, and we're gonna hang out, and it's a situation where I don't really like the Chiefs at all. Robert probably knows why. And then I have a history of not really liking Tom Brady at all either.
Okay.
But hopefully, I'm just hoping we have the GOAT versus the second coming. So I think that there's going to be some fun stuff there.
Yeah, I think it'd be good. Yeah, good.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, while I'm not a sports guy, I will say that I urge anyone who is, doing wanting to watch something, watch it at home, whatever. Obviously, stay. We want to social distance as we can. But I actually am encouraging anybody who, if you're ordering food, pick it up to go and order through the if you can, pick it up to go and order it through that restaurant, so that, because Uber Eats and all the other Dine and Dash and all the Dine and Dash stuff, they're going to be inundated. DoorDash, yeah, whatever. They're going to be inundated with people trying to pick up orders. So yes, you are helping someone who's working for DoorDash, working for Uber Eats, but Uber Eats takes money from the restaurant and the driver, and it's like, it doesn't work economically for everybody. And it's like ordering pizza back in the day. Everyone's going to be ordering pizza. Everyone is going to be ordering food. So if you are ordering food and you can manage it, go do that curbside delivery or whatever if you can through the store. So that way I'm just saying, I'm going to give to a local pizza place this weekend.
I'll let you know if you're doing wings or pizza. Also, don't order the day of. Order before, because there's some companies, depending on how busy your local establishment is, they don't even take orders that day, because you're talking about like wings and pizza are the most popular sports foods, and we're talking about the biggest event. So I remember I ordered wings last year because we had the new kid, and we just I was too tired to really care. You had to order, I think, 3 or 4 days in advance, and you couldn't order day of, because they were just stacked back to back to back. I had people that walked in there while I was waiting for my order, and they're like, "There's a sign on the door. We're not taking orders today. Sorry." And they're like, "What? Like, we can't just sit here and order something?" And they're like, "No."
Because that's literally how much, and that's why I wanted to put that out there. I'm glad you threw that tip out there too, because if you're going to order it from those kind of establishments, yes, 100% do that. There's a local pizzeria place that I like, I'm hoping they're a restaurant who also makes coal fire pizza, and they're known for their pizza for that. So I get that curbside. But anyways, we'll wrap up some gaming news.
We're going to talk about the rare sports video game on this show. I know that, again, sports games aren't our normal clientele, but this still, I had to bring this up. Just, normally we're big PlayStation fans. We cover it all. Yes. But for the first time in history, you will see a PlayStation logo on the cover of an Xbox game.
That's right. Not this one. I couldn't find the 2K21 trailer because I don't think it's out yet. So here's
just the leaked cover art.
Exactly. Yeah. So here's the leaked cover art, and you can see right here, over there, the PlayStation Studios logo. It's so weird to me. That's so weird to me.
I'm gonna buy it on Xbox just to do it. To be honest with you, I'm doing it because it's just that thing. I think what happened. So for those of you who don't know, this was news last year, where they said that the show will no longer be PlayStation exclusive, but it is going to be made by Sony San Diego, who's been making the game for a long time. They do a great job. The show is great, but I think the MLB said, you either start making it for everybody, or we're gonna squeeze you out of it and get somebody else to make it. And Sony did the rare thing and said, okay, well, we want to keep making the game. This is what this studio's entire job is, making this game. This is, I think this is great. I think that it has a chance to expose some Xbox people to the PlayStation brand. I think that, again, we know that baseball games aren't for everybody. There's specific people who like have a sports game, like Madden's their sports game, or NBA's their sports game, or my buddy, he buys the NHL games every year. That's his game. Everybody that likes sports has that one game, but I think that this has a chance to be like, oh wow, like PlayStation makes this really good baseball game. Maybe
I've heard
maybe I want to check their stuff out.
I've not been able to get into it, but I've heard nothing but good things about the show. And you know, I don't follow sports. I understand sports, you know, but obviously it's not. I'm in this like, it's not. I have to say that because some people like they're like like it's not that I don't like understand the rules of the game. I just don't.
If I call you out for a second though?
Go for it.
So as everybody knows, me and Patrick Polo throughout the weeks, and there's one point this week where Patrick talks about the quarterback throwing to the linebacker.
I know it was like the
linebacker plays defense.
I know. Like,
but I was out there with my dog, and I died.
Yeah. So yeah, I know enough, but no, I was trying to create a metaphor, but dude totally called me out. Yeah, I was wrong. It's the kicker. I know.
Oh yeah, for sure. I know. You know the rules of the game, though, but
like I've not. I used to play sports games back in the day. I haven't been able to get into one in a while, and I don't know if it's the control schemes or what. Because like I used to play sports games all the time. I used to play I say all the time. I'm talking like PS1 and before, maybe PS2 and before. NFL games, I'd play the NBA games. Like, you know, if they were cheaper, I'd go rent them because Blockbuster was
NBA Street was my jam.
Yes, dude, that was a great game. The control scheme was good. It was intuitive enough. I love those games. I haven't been able to get into a modern sports game in a while. I need to give this one more of a chance. I tried and I didn't give it enough time, but you know.
I'm buying it on Xbox because I know that this is going to be a thing, but I want the first PlayStation game on Xbox. You know, who knows? Are you going to
buy a physical copy?
Yeah, probably. I actually no, probably not. Who knows? I might. I really need to stop. Patrick. I need to. I see hand slap. No, like
I gotta stop too. I got more figures I'm putting up too.
I'm doing really good this year. Okay,
yeah.
It's January. No, it's February 3rd. I didn't buy a game the entire month of January. I did not buy a single. I bought Habroxia today to support the developer for $9.99. I did already buy Super Mario 3D because I'm excited about the Bowser thing, and I really want to show it to Ted.
Dude, that's a great game for him. Yeah.
So I'm excited about that, but I'm trying to not buy as many games. I really am. That's gonna get shot to hell as soon as some great AAA experience comes out. But luckily, in this weird launch cycle, we don't have. There's not a lot of stuff, man. There's still a lot of games coming out, but like there's nothing selling me that says like I gotta buy this.
Yeah, we're in a weird lull. We've got a little bit before the Resident Evil, which is actually our next bit of news, but we got a little bit before that. Mass Effect is actually one of the ones that I'm looking forward to. It's coming out really, really soon. Resident Evil coming out in March, if I'm not mistaken. But the internet and the thirst on the internet, if you've seen it, for this lady, the internet has gone wild. I guess I get it, but I don't. Like, it's just like all in. A lot of the snoo references have been in there for you Futurama fans. Because the other news is they have confirmed, based on the developer confirmed this because people were asking, how tall is she? Because she's insanely tall in the trailer. She's insanely tall when you see her in the demo, because she's in the very end of the demo. And they confirmed that they're like, yeah, she's 9 feet tall. So maybe that added to the thirst of the internet peoples. But yeah, thirsty people and lots of memes
Nine
for her.
foot six.
9'6". Okay, I thought she was 9 feet. So yeah, ridiculously tall. But with Resident Evil, with more than likely the lore of where she's more than likely some type of vampire, some type of vampirism or whatever that has come from I forgot the flower name that essentially spawned a lot of the Resident Evil stuff, old school Resident Evil lore that I will go into in the series of videos that I will one day make. That I think that, of course, that has changed her as vampires change their appearance and what have you. But I don't know. I thought it was interesting that the there's so that people. I thought people would be thinking about it more of the gameplay aspect, where they're like, oh, she's probably going to be like Mr. X in the other in Resident Evil 2, where you can't really kill him and he'll just show up, and he is terrifying because you can't kill him and you can hear him and trying to figure out where he is. Resident Evil 7 did that a lot with the Baker family. So I thought it was more about like, oh, how are we going to feel about this? But it's been more memes of like people basically saying like, yeah, let her come at me, instead of like being scared. So I don't know. I guess
I'm sure it'll change.
Sure.
But there's a weird. The internet's weird, man.
Yeah.
Whenever it comes to like horror and, well, I don't know, just whenever it comes to like bad guys, if like, think about like Loki from the MCU, like,
yeah,
he's the bad guy, and people want to hit that. And like there's a thing about if the charisma and the looks of the villain get to you, I've never really been able to be about that. Like, I don't mind like saying like, yeah, you made an attractive sprite.
Sure.
But
Sure.
Me and bad guys, I'm just not a big bad guy.
Sure.
I guess I get it. They made an attractive villain, and then there is a very strong history of horror and sex. That's a thing. That
and vampires add to that.
About Dracula.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The sensual aspect of Dracula, or in my opinion, one of the greatest, probably the greatest vampire movie that I'll fight people about, Interview with the Vampire. I think maybe one of the greatest vampire movies ever, in its portrayal of like vampires having to cope with their aging, and like also like the rules of how they're created or whatever. I love that. I love it. But you're right on that. I don't know. We'll see what happens on it. I will say that some of it, like, I haven't seen any news about like the actress, like talking about that. There is subtle news and sad news. One of the actresses who played one of the other female vampires, sisters, whatever. I don't know their relationship yet, but she did pass away this past week. So there's a little sad news on that. Where I feel like the big lady has eclipsed her in regards to news.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's sad news that something like that happens, especially when to someone who, this could have been a breakout role. You never know what a breakout role is for someone. So it's always kind of sad for me to feel that way, where it's like this could have been her like shining moment. And we didn't, and it still could be, but that could have been something where, she becomes the next Laura Bailey or something to that effect. Not saying she'll take off in Hollywood, but this could be her thing, and she could create a career off of it. And unfortunately, it's not going to happen now. So, not to end it on a bummer note, but I just wanted to point that out as we're talking about Resident Evil 8. I don't want to not talk about what I think is also important news there. But I'm going to be playing the game. Sure. I'm very excited about it. I loved the demo. I played the demo again. I didn't get anything new out of it, but I'm still exploring.
That's in May, right?
I thought it was in March.
No, May 7th.
Keyboard's messing up right now. So May 7th, I'm good. I'm good with that. So that means that, it means Resident Evil and the Mass Effect trilogy, the Mass Effect Legacy Legendary Edition, coming out the same month. So.
And then don't forget, as the weeks go on, next week, I'm not going to be talking about it yet, but I do intend to start playing my backlog game of the of the month. So if you haven't tuned in a few weeks, we are. We mentioned how I'm trying not to buy as many games. Patrick's not to buy as many games. We've made it a goal and a segment on this show. We're going to be playing a game that we already own. Yep. We cannot add a game that we have bought this year. So it's a game that we already own every month. And we're going to, the last 2 weeks of the month, I'll talk about my game one week. Patrick will talk about his game another week. We'll talk a little bit about who made it, when it came out. I'm going to be starting Ghosts of Tsushima.
I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for you being able to start this game, because I'm not trying to overhype it. I enjoyed the art. I enjoyed so much of the game that I feel like it may be a game where you start it and you're like, hey, there's so much. It may be too much, too overwhelming, where you don't know if you'll ever complete it. But to be able to dip your toes in and taste, I'm happy about that. Very happy.
And I forget, did you decide?
I did. I did pick up this game last year, so it counts. But it happens to be also on PlayStation Plus this month. But I'm playing Control, and I'm actually getting the upgraded Ultimate Edition on here. So happy about that. I'm gonna play that. This is one that I wanted to play. I was like, I'm gonna put that on my one day I'll play it list. Last year I didn't buy any games I wasn't going to. My intention was not to buy a game I wasn't going to play.
I was about to say, don't lie.
Right then, it didn't happen. The idea was I was not going to buy a game and just that I wasn't intending to play right then. So Control was on my list of like, it's going to happen. I have a spreadsheet. I'm that guy. And Control. And then when they said, hey, there's an Alan Wake expansion, I was like, buying it. That's when I violated the rule at that point, because I wanted to vote with my dollar at that point. And
you really need to use GG. For tracking. It's so much easier.
I really do. I do. The reason I use a spreadsheet, honestly, is because I have a spreadsheet that has the games that I'm looking forward to. It has movies that I'm looking forward to. It has so games in my collection, has movies in my collection. So that way I can kind of track it that way. But yeah, I agree. I should probably.
And for that, you need to look at Letterboxd.
Yep. Okay, so I need
Letterboxd for movies, GG for games. Yeah.
Does Letterboxd also do TV shows or no?
I don't know about TV. I know it does movies for sure. Okay. But not to overhype it for you, but Control is heckin' dope. It's trippy. I'm not even gonna say it. There's a spot that you're gonna get to. Hopefully you stick with it. It's not a very long game. When you get to it, I can't wait to talk to you about it, just because it's such a cool level design that they managed to pull off. And you're super lucky to be playing the Ultimate Edition, because while it ran fine on PS4 Pro, it really didn't run well on PS4. And you're gonna get the optimized version. I'm getting the optimized version of Ghost, which is another reason to be excited. That game came out last year. This is gonna be a good month, guys. So if you're looking to check out some games maybe you didn't buy. By the way, if you have PS Plus, go add Control to your cart for sure, along with Concrete Genie and Destruction All Stars. Add those up. It's going to be good. So join us if you want to join us. Just pick out one game a month out of your backlog that you are going to play. You don't have to beat it. It's just you paid for it, right? So why not play it? Let us know what you're playing. Join in with us. That's part of what we want to do here. Is we love talking about the news, but honestly, I think some of the best conversations that me and Patrick have are just when we're nerding out about video games that we're playing, and just the things that we're actually experiencing on the day-to-day. So pick out some games and join us.
Be part of the community, and we'll see you guys next time.
Okay, bye.
Good stuff, except for me not hitting.